Okay, guys. So the last thing we're doing with graphs and our equations are converting tables to graphs. Okay. So it's gonna in these problems it's gonna give me a table and say here are the x points and the y points. I want you to choose which graph is the same. Okay. So I'm gonna look at the table and I'm going to match up pairs. So the pairs are the ones that are right next to each other or right on top of each other. So one will be X and one will be Y. I match those up and then I go and plot those on the graph. And if that is correct, then I move on to the next point and make sure that's there. If it's not correct, then we eliminate it and then we move on. Okay, so it's really easy. It's easier to just look at this and see what's going on. So if I look at this, that's X right there, right? And that's Y. So I want to look at -2 and -1 2/3. That's 1 point. So what I'm really going to look at, I'm going to look at the ones that aren't fractions right now. So 0, -1. So let's go look at 0, -1. So X should be 0. So we're going to stay on the y-axis. Okay, and we're going to look and see. So -1 means we go down. So the line should cross through this point, 0, -1. This line doesn't, so I know it's not W. Okay, that one does, so that one's good. That one doesn't, so we're going to cross that one. And that one does, okay? So let's look at it again. So let's see. Let's look at my points. So as my x's get bigger, do my y's get bigger? So let's look, 1 and -2/3. Let's look at that. So it should be close to -1, right? So 1 and -2/3, okay? Does that make sense? That doesn't make sense because -2/3 should be before -1, not after -1. So it's not x. So let's look at this one. 1 and -2/3, and that's right before x. So that would be the answer. Okay, so the answer would be Z on this one. And that's all you got to do on these. Okay, and the next problem is going to be going from a graph to a table. It's the same concept. Okay, so this gives me a graph. I'm going to look at the points. So this point right here is -1 because I went over 1 for 0 and then for x, and then I didn't move anywhere on the y-axis. So it's going to be -1, 0. So let's look for ones that have -1, 0 in it. -1, -6. That's not right because 0 should be with -1, right? -1, +6. That's not right. Okay, that one doesn't even have a -1. -1, -6. Okay, so it's going to be C if we look at that. So let's look and see if these points match up. -6, -1. So let's see. -6, -1. That doesn't make sense. So that's not right. So let's look through this again. Okay. Oh, because that's +1. I Miss Howell's not looking right. Okay, so that's +1, 0. So if we look at +1, that's 3. +1, 0, good. 0, 1, that's not right. And then 1, 0. Okay, so let's look. These both have -1, 6 or -1, -6. So let's look. -1 is at -6. So it should be the one that has -6 in the y. So it's going to be that one. Okay. And that's about all you do with that, guys. Okay, we'll be working on tables next week. You guys have a great weekend. Bye.